You're listening to the Faith and Friction Podcast with your hosts, Mac and the Rev. Welcome to the conversation.
All right, welcome to Faith and Friction, man. Hey, Rev, I'm excited, man. It's good to have you back.
Man, there was a bit of a break, and I was like,
Yeah.
I really missed it.
Yeah. well,
Could it
that's
be that
true.
I'm making peace with faith and friction? I believe I am.
And we put some in the bank, and we played them out over the last few weeks. But I've been just looking forward to getting back into this scenario a lot. So welcome back.
That's good to be home. California was great, and I'm
Yeah.
glad to be back in Georgia, and certainly grateful to be back behind this mic.
Me too. All right. So tonight, it's about wisdom. That's the best word I use to get this thing started, because what we're going to talk about tonight, they're going to resonate with you. Guys are going to resonate with this. It's not like we're going to come up with any rocket science, but I was really burdened to talk about these things to remind us, right? To remind us some of these very common sense things, but as life gets wacky, crazy, and the world gets more wacky and crazy, we need to be reminded of some
I
of
think
this stuff.
sometimes the most profound truths are the simplest of truths, and we overcomplicate.
Yeah.
Certainly, I know that we do that theologically, religiously, but I think we just do it. What's going on between my ears is sometimes an overcomplication of a very simple wisdom that needs to be remembered.
Let's try to get to that, just a little core snippets. We're going to give some examples maybe from our own life, but it's just for some reminders of some wise perspectives to have across the board. These don't fall in any one category, but I think
Well,
they're
they're
beautiful.
applicable in every area
There
of
you go.
life. But we got
Mhm.
to keep them at the forefront of our mind, whether it be work, family, religion, whatever it is that's involved. They have some profound truth that we should be carrying. Now, I don't want to say should. I don't like the word should, but in my life that it really helps me carry myself in a much better way, no matter what the environment.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, for me, you have to be into it and understand. And this isn't just one size fits all. We're going to apply this across our lives in all kinds of, like you said, in all kinds of different ways. And some of it might cause friction. Isn't that what we're all about? I mean,
Sometimes the simplest truth causes friction within me.
yeah.
Oh, I really need to look at that. Why am I not looking at that? Should I look at it? Is it a waste of time? All that stuff comes up, and those are good questions to be asking.
Sure.
So that's all we ask of anybody listening, is let these simple truths cause questions to emerge at the forefront of your mind, whether you like them or not.
It's not only creating maybe, but it's unearthing. We've talked about that before. And then we have to say, what's the therefore? What? So therefore, right?
Mhm.
And what's some applications that we can use toward that to either maybe stoke the friction a little more because it's not finished yet, whatever we're doing, or to go, all right, now what do we do? Let's see if we can't calm that friction. Maybe we can make it a little more smooth.
What was friction in my life 20 years ago is no longer a big deal.
Let's hope not.
And hopefully what was friction 20 minutes ago, I've processed well that, I'm much more comfortable living in the fire.
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable living in
There.
the sparks.
There it is. Yes. And as a matter of fact, we were talking about this morning, some of the guys and I were together, and they were very receptive to the fact that what the big saying there was, friction spurs growth.
It does.
You know what?
Plain and simple. I am not the product of when everything was working great.
Yeah.
I'm the product of those moments where there's a rub
Yeah.
and I'm having to think differently,
You're
feel
tested.
differently, and act differently.
Yeah. So there it is. So let's just throw some of this stuff out and see what kind of friction we create.
Ladies and gentlemen, the simple truth.
Here it is. The simple truths. That might be a good title for this episode. All right. So how about this one? One is a mistake. Twice is a decision. Once is a mistake. Twice is a decision. All right. And how often do we encounter people in our work and our life and whatever that come to us, I'm going to say maybe over and over again, making the same mistake, right? And what's the Einstein thing? If you keep doing the same thing over and over,
Definition
it's
of insanity.
So,
And I like to carry this a little further because
Okay.
I am going to overcomplicate a very simple truth. Once is a mistake, twice is a decision, 3 is a manipulation, and 4 becomes a habit. an
I like
unconscious
that, man.
habit.
I like that.
And again, maybe I'm going too far with it, but the reality is consciousness. This is a call to consciousness, to be aware of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I made a mistake. Okay, don't beat myself up. If I do it again, I know the consequences of that.
Yeah.
Good, bad, and otherwise. Do I want to do it again? A third, a fourth, a fifth time?
I think you make a really good point that it's a progression. It's a progression downward, if you will, if you can use up and down. And at anywhere along the way, first of all of those steps create friction. And I think it starts out as maybe a little warm when you make a mistake.
Yep.
A little warm. Okay, you feel that. But then as you move through that progression that you were just talking about, the friction gets greater and greater. Or we were talking about this earlier, maybe it just, you become the Walking Dead. Maybe you just literally check out because I've made too many mistakes.
I become so comfortable with the mistakes.
Yes.
I'm just comfortable with them, and I'm not even aware that it is a mistake anymore.
I think that's very easy to fall into that
Guilty
trap.
as charged. And if I'm holding myself accountable to that kind of life, I need to hold the people in my environment accountable as well. So it's a both-and reality.
Okay,
I know
I'll
it's
go with
really
that.
easy to call others out. Once is a mistake, twice is a decision, three is a manipulation, and fourth is a habit. Let me call you out on your habits. I must be willing to do it. I must be willing to do it for myself, and I'm going to hold you accountable to doing it for yours.
That's the plank in my eye, right? I mean, that's
Oh,
the way it
yeah.
always goes. I love the last word there, though, and you're always about this. It's a decision. You can't pawn it off on something external to ourselves. We can't blame it on God. We can't blame it on our boss. We can't blame it on our spouse or this or that or our friend. We all make decisions. And so we got to own it. We just can't push it away out there.
Everything we
Then you're a
do
victim.
every day, for the minute we get up, is involving decisions.
So
It is that is grace to me. Is I have been given the ability to make decisions and alter the course of my day, my life, my experience by the decisions I'm making. I think that's important to recognize. There's nothing really complex about that. And it can be very freeing. Wow, I'm in charge of my life. Or it can be scary. Oh, crap, I'm in charge of my life.
I think a lot of times too, especially from a faith standpoint, and I can only speak to this from my personal experience, right? A lot of times we're taught in a faith scenario that we aren't good enough to take on the responsibility for ourselves.
Yeah.
We're so dang messed up that we're going to mess it up. And so it's not about us taking personal responsibility. We're going to pawn that off on God under the guise of, I want it done right. I want it to be a good decision. I want it to be righteous. So the only place I get that kind of decision making is from out there. And that's a
The
tragedy.
grand scapegoat.
Yeah.
And I think God is the greatest scapegoat on the planet. You know, if I can't find somebody outside in my life to blame, let me find that which is not going to argue with it.
And which is supposed to know. And so when things turn out whichever way they do, it must be God ordained, because who's in charge?
Which in of itself can be a mistake.
Yeah.
It can be a decision.
Yeah.
And then it can be a
Beautiful.
habit.
It can also be beautiful. Yeah, but it can be a
It can be
habit.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But boy, you better be conscious.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're in a repeated pattern.
Throwing a
It's just a
card
habit.
all the
It's just
time.
God's fault.
Yep.
Or
Well,
God's will. Well, wait a minute. God gave us responsibility. That's like taking the grace that I talked about and saying, no, I don't want it.
exactly. Exactly. We talked about this maybe a few episodes back, but I read this one book by Paul Young, who did The Shack, and this whole idea that God's got a plan, right? And so the minute you default to that, who's driving the train and who's making all the decisions? God. As opposed to what he was saying was, make a decision, decide. Rev, decide.
Decide.
And then guess what? The universe, that God, that, call it whatever you want, then what happens then is it comes alongside of you in whatever decision you've just made, and know that there's a strength there. It's not a manipulation. It's a power that you can tap, and maybe you make the right
A power that's been waiting. That's an intelligent power.
Yeah.
Thank God you finally made a decision. I can now act on your behalf.
Yeah.
Good, bad, or otherwise. That's what you want. I'm going to
I
move
got
in
something
that
to work
direction.
with. Yeah, exactly. So once is a mistake, twice is a decision. How about that for some wisdom? All right. People, we talk about this all the time. People never forget the way you made them feel.
Maya Angelou is one of my heroes.
You know?
They will forget what you said 5 minutes after you say it. They'll never forget the feeling they had in your presence.
Yes.
Presence is everything. Talk is cheap, words
Yeah.
are cheap, but the emotion and the energy being gifted in that moment is more important than the words themselves.
You use the word energy. We talked about this last night,
Yep,
right?
in class.
And so there's this energy that we put out. Everybody does it. Everybody does it to some degree. And then it's the amplitude to some degree, then how much of it, all right? What's the power behind it? And people notice that. How do they feel about
I quote this often, and I think it was Emerson. I really need to investigate. Who you are thunders so loudly in my ears, I cannot hear you.
Yes.
The energy is going before you.
Yeah.
Before you ever speak a word, before you take an action, that energy is going before you, and it's what's left. It's the residue left in the environment when you're out.
I love it, man. I love it.
It
That's
lingers,
great.
and people remember.
It lingers. I love that word. It lingers. It's part of the way the ether works, okay, in our bodies and our energy. And we don't really even think about it that way. If you're in a good mood, we'd understand that if somebody positive comes into a room, they can kind of lift it up. And if somebody negative comes in, those are the norms. Everybody can kind of understand how that works. But for me, the feel is even, I think it's even deeper than that. I think it goes beyond even what we can quantify as, oh, I felt good about that. I didn't feel so good about that. I think there's a deeper innate thing that maybe we can't even articulate.
It's a peace that surpasses understanding.
Yeah,
And it also
right.
surpasses cause. Oh, Larry entered the room, Mac entered the room, and it was peaceful. Richard entered the room, the Merv did, and it was negative. It's beyond where the source is.
Exactly.
It's a deeper rooted atmosphere, which I believe is heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't explain it. It's beyond words.
Yep.
But we have the ability individually and collectively to infect an environment without any concern about who caused it or why it's there.
Yeah. And where's the friction in that? The friction becomes resting face. What kind of first impression do you create? What kind of words do you use when you are engaging with people?
Yeah.
All of that stuff goes into the
Well,
feeling.
the friction for me is in I need to be totally unattached to any credit. Look, I came in and I changed the room. You all need the friction is my ego
Look at
goes,
me.
I want credit that I made it a positive environment.
Yeah.
There's no need for credit. I just acted organically and naturally from a place of kindness and generosity and compassion.
Why? Because you've cultivated it.
Yep.
And that to me, you have to include that word. And you want to have greater consciousness, you want to have deeper spirituality, better cultivate it. You better be doing some things, the right things, I'll say. All right. That's a whole nother discussion. But osmosis ain't going to get it.
I'm thinking about meetings I've been in, and I've been in some of the most tense meetings where decisions were made.
Yeah.
We think, okay, we did it. Check. We took care of business. And everything falls apart after that meeting. I've been in meetings also where nothing was decided, nothing got done, but everybody left feeling joyful. There's an immediate answer that comes. There's a download because the environment was more important than the need to get the job done. The job gets done more quickly and efficiently because the environment is conducive to the download. So I love leaving meetings going, everybody felt really good about it, even if my mind goes, we didn't do anything. Because I hate wasted time in a meeting, but I've had to learn there's the friction. It didn't have to, as the bird go, oh, we got XYZ done. No, we didn't. But XYZ takes care of itself because I've created the mental, spiritual environment.
Yes. All these little components, and you have to read the room right. It's analysis. It's what do I want to say? It's an analogy. Okay.
An analogy, a metaphor.
Like a metaphor. So we're constantly, quote, in the room, and we have to be able to be sensitive enough to what's going on in that room around us, in us, to be able then to be the right person I'm going to say in the moment, but you're not trying to figure out what to do in the moment. You just are.
It's what I call practicing the presence.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm present in this room, in this moment with these people, and my presence is enough.
Yeah.
And then in that awareness of enoughness, things do get done. but in a
agree.
much more organic way.
Feel the friction. Understand it. You're going to feel it yourself as well when you don't feel well,
Yeah.
based upon whatever's going on.
And everybody's reading your friction
Mm-hmm.
because it's not been processed before you open your mouth. And I don't care how much you're smiling. If the friction is on the inside, it cannot discuss
Yes,
it.
it's disingenuous. They can pick up on that right away, right?
Yeah.
All right. So people never forget the way you made them feel. That,
I hope
of
you all
course.
feel wonderful.
I do. Thank you very much for helping me. All right. So this is a tough one. This is a tough. I have to admit, and let's flesh this out because there's a lot of nuances here. If your circle of friends isn't evolving, then you're probably not evolving.
Ooh. Between the eyes.
See, now all of a sudden we're bringing relationships into our raising of consciousness, our spiritual growth, our progression. How do those people, why does it change? Why should it change? And if so, why and how?
It's every environment I find myself in. If I am conscious, when I am conscious, I either am resonating with what's going on or I'm not.
Yep.
And this kind of smacks of birds of a feather flock together. And I often say, you become like the people you're hanging out with.
Yeah.
You have to be conscious to go, I don't like what I'm seeing. An unevolved environment, an environment that isn't about growth or becoming more or doing more. You're eventually going to be just like that. No matter how much you judge it and others, you have to make a decision. It's time for me to step back, or it's time for me to step in and change this environment and call it out.
There's reading the room. Okay. There's being sensitive, right? And you use the word. And I think this is the default word when you come to this kind of topic, judgment.
Yeah.
I just have to back away from you because to this point, it's been great and we've resonated with each other and we've lived life together and we've learned from each other and all that. But as I'm going to use the word evolve, as I change, then if the relationship isn't resonating anymore, I'm not judging that person as anything less. It's just I need to move to a different place, like you said.
And judgment sometimes gets a bad rap, so I put the word discernment. I'm just discerning for my growth and where I'm heading and where my vision for my life is this no longer is going to be a part. There are people in your life, there are situations in your life that are there for a reason. They're there for a season.
I agree.
And sometimes it's a lifetime. I have those as well, but sometimes I'm grateful for people who touched my life in a particular season. And some of them came back and I had another season with them, but they became back as a different person. And it's not bad. No. Judgment is not a bad thing unless it's out of control. Yes. If it's given with love, it's offered and processed with love. I'm discerning for the love of my divine essence that I need to find a new environment. That's okay. You do you, I do me.
Yes, it is. And there's a great statement to say that it's not demeaning of anybody, but a lot of times we hang on to, quote, friends. And I think there's acquaintance. There's this line between having acquaintance. So how does a friend become an acquaintance? Or do you still call them a friend, but they're not part of your inner circle anymore? There's some nuances.
Well, and you're going to process grief with them.
Yeah.
They have great value in your life as a friend. But there are levels of friendship. In the kingdom of heaven, there are many dimensions, many rooms, many mansions. In friendship, which is a heavenly experience, there are also many different levels. And we move in and out of them with any judgment or any blame or shame with just, I'm moving to a different room.
Mm-hmm. And it takes courage.
It takes courage, and it takes processing that grief. It does take a great deal of guts.
In that decision, we're talking about decisions up top, right? To make that decision, whether it's painful and it's grieving and all these kinds of things, it's also very free. It releases some of your emotion. It releases some of your thought process. It releases some of your time and your energy and your resources to be able to then say, where is it best for me to direct that now?
I think our souls are speaking to us at all times. And I ask people all the time when they want me to give them an answer. I say, no, what is your soul saying?
Yeah.
Not your ego. Drop down, get quiet, get still. What does your soul need?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, every time that soul yearning and desire is answered, people come back and say, I'm so glad I listened.
Yes.
Not that I have any answers, that they had any extra answers, but their soul is now given a freer, greater expression. I've been knocking at the door. I'm standing and knocking, and you're not listening to me, staying in the same environment, which is a decision. You can stay. I've made that decision to stay in the same environment and not evolve, but I'll take full responsibility until my soul goes, hey, pay attention.
No.
And the thing
I
is,
agree.
we do that for ourselves. I have friends that have done that with me. My soul's evolving in a different direction.
Wow.
We're not going to have the same relationship we've had.
There you go.
That is another element of this conversation. Wow, I got to process that grief. And
Yeah. Sure.
they're growing. Maybe I need to look at that. Maybe they just called me out.
It's a great time for you're always all about this too, the introspection. To say, what is it with me? And again, it's not a guilt feeling. It's not a like I'm lesser than or something like that. It's just I think we all periodically need to self-evaluate. Okay. And this is the friction, not only within ourselves, right? There's the friction. How does your faith? A lot of times you grow up and a lot of your friends are part of the same tribe of faith. I'm just using one example. And so now think about the friction that happens as you begin to separate yourself a little bit more from those people. How do you deal with it? What's God love? We're all about love. But I think we twist that a bit, and it's to our detriment a lot of time because we want to run love through a situation that enables us, or not, I shouldn't say enable, it causes us to stick around maybe in some of those relationships.
Well, and then I asked the question, and I have myself in my self-contemplation time, have I sacrificed my soul on the level of acceptance? Have I sacrificed
That's a good way to put it.
my soul at the altar of just belonging, the herd, if you will? And I think that happens. And that's a
Sure it
decision. I'm not
does.
going to call it good or bad,
I've
but it's
done
one
it.
I have to look at.
Yeah.
I did. I didn't answer the call of my spirit so that I could still fit in. But
I
it does
think-
get more and more uncomfortable.
There it is. There's the friction, right? And we either learn to live with it, like we were talking about, The Walking Dead, right? We don't even, we're so desensitized to it that we don't even recognize it anymore. And yet we're consumed by the flame.
Yeah. And then we owe ourselves an apology, which takes us to this next one. I
right?
think, go ahead and read it.
Yeah. It says an apology holds no weight if you have to ask for it. Think about that for a second. An apology holds no weight if you have to ask for it or if they have to ask for it, right?
Yep.
That could be a part of that as well.
I've been engaged in many conversations where it starts with, fine, I'm sorry. But it doesn't feel very genuine.
That's disingenuous, as a matter of fact.
Fine, if this will make you go away, I apologize.
I'm not so sure that in our culture right now that there's enough humble apology going on across the board to say, remember we said that? Maybe. You have an opinion. I have an opinion. We read something. We hear something that's different, that's contrary to what we might believe. And as opposed to just going, nope, talk to the hand.
Right.
Maybe.
There is a spiritual power called ownership. And the more we own our lives and owning our mistakes, going back to, I'm going to own my mistake. I didn't do you right here. And how you feel is important as me being right. So I am going to apologize because I want to leave you with the feeling of the care and the love, not the combativeness. And we've lost the art of humility. I think your point is well taken. Humility and vulnerability. Oh, no, I can't even admit, even if I know I did it wrong. I cannot do it because we're in a competitive environment.
Yep.
You're going to use it against me.
Yep.
Because we're afraid of each other.
That's a really good perspective of the why nots. And what does that do? That creates even more friction.
Yeah.
There might have been some already in my humility and my humbleness because I don't really know how you're going to react to that.
Yep.
But if it's done genuinely and you voice it, that's all you can do. I mean,
That's it.
that's the heart that comes, the soul that comes. Now, how that gets received on the other end could be could create a lot of friction.
Yep.
Okay. But
Or
you
it
have to
could
be
create a lot of healing. So
Yeah,
are
exactly.
we willing to take the risk
Absolutely.
for healing, to take the risk that there's going to be more friction as a result? And I think
hope so.
that genuinely the ego says no.
You're right. You're right.
So it's dropping down into the soul. What does the soul want me to do here? And I think 9 times out of 10, the soul's going to say, make amends.
I think you also bring into their personality, past experience you've had with that person, and it's real easy to make justified excuses to say, they're just going to throw it back in my face anyway. Been there, done that. Okay.
And again, let's tie it all together. That means you're in a circle of friends that are not evolving. And if you don't
There
trust
it
them
goes.
enough to take your sincere expression of love through apology, you need to get out of that circle.
Yeah.
That's not a circle that's going to be going anywhere. It's not evolving.
No. Hello. And that's going to happen.
And it's going to hurt. We've been friends for 20 years. But if I don't trust you enough to be able to take my sincere apology and not use it as a weapon,
Yeah.
I need to get out of that circle.
Yeah. And I find myself doing it as well, more than just my circle. That if I'm having a humble enough attitude to people in my life in general, it could be a lady checking out at in the grocery store, and I just do something wacky, or I insult her, or whatever. You know what? I'm sorry. I don't know where my brain was right then, but please, I don't need to talk to anybody that way. Would you please, and ask for forgiveness? Because
And you may not get it. Now, Jewish tradition says you go 3 times. And if you don't get the forgiveness, that's on them now. But it is sincere, wanting to make amends.
I think that's the flip side of this statement. When you feel like you're due an apology, but you're not asking for it, all right? And that other person does and comes to you. I think some of the most beautiful words you can say is, I forgive you. Okay? Please forgive me. I forgive you. There's a magic that takes place there, then it has got to be genuine.
Well, even if, because I've discounted somebody's genuine apology, going, oh, it was no big deal.
There's another.
I just put a wall up for that. They're obviously felt like they did something wrong. I forgive you for that.
What you've just done is diss them. You've just said that. No, that confession on your part,
Discounted.
That's right. It's not that. Don't worry. It's not that worthy. That's
And I think it can be a both and reality. Well, I didn't take offense, but I really appreciate that you were willing to show that kind of care.
Exactly. That's a gracious. We're talking about grace. That's a gracious way to handle it. And it's the feeling. You said feel again. How do people feel in that kind of interaction? Yeah. If it's positive, they're going to come away from that. And you know what? Just maybe they're going to take a different approach in some other conversation down the road where they'll do something or they'll appreciate someone else doing it more than they would have.
I call this network marketing spirituality, pyramid scheme. It gets forward. It's not just that little moment. It's what happened in that moment. Then both of us go into our next field and live that moment again and again and again. So it's a pyramid scheme, but it's one I want to invest in.
There you go. An apology holds no weight if you have to ask for it, or if you don't give it. All right. How about this one? If your absence or theirs doesn't affect them or you, there's no effect going on, then yours or theirs didn't matter. Your presence didn't matter anyway.
Wait a minute. I'm not that important. It's all about me.
Yeah. There's what can creep in here big time. And I think for me to realize that if somebody's absence really doesn't bother me, number one, I'm going back up top here now. Okay. Then for whatever reason, my soul, my heart, there's not as much resonance there as even I thought there would be. And we get put in these circumstances all the time, whether it's our own decision that we make or we get drawn in or whatever it might be. There's all kinds of scenarios you can pick here, right? But at the end of the day, call it for what it is. Maybe not outright to somebody, but understand.
You have no value to me. But the reality is that's the self-assessment. What I'm doing in my life, the people in my life, what is the value of that?
Yeah.
Is it adding to the enrichment and the evolving and the goodness, or is it distracting from it, or is it just neutral?
Yeah.
When I do that self-examination and life examination, then I have information. That's it. Not blaming and shaming.
Nope.
I'm just going to take stock. Why do I keep doing things where it really isn't? I'm not adding value to anybody's life, and they're not adding value to mine. Let's help each other find a different circle where that value can be realized.
You know what that takes? That takes spiritual poise. That takes spiritual maturity. It's something, again, that has to be cultivated within us. So then we just become that way. Because most of the time, we're not going to just, let's see, how do I need to react in this situation? Let me go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'll pick 3. We don't work that way.
Yeah. Can we get humble enough, back to the humility, to go, I'm not really adding value to this situation or this group or this person. And that's okay. And the tendency is to go, F you, you know, you guys just don't see my value. If I'm not adding value, let me back away and create space so that there can be somebody who can fit value in there.
But don't make that an excuse. I think it's easy to well, this will be better for you if I'm not around. Well,
that's not about you. It's about me. Exactly. The great breakup line.
Exactly. So again, the humility, though, when it comes into it, I think dispels a lot of that kind of stuff. And you don't have to think about it.
All roads lead to the self-assessment, to really getting honest with ourselves. And that's going back to the soul. What is my soul saying? Not my mind, not my ego, not even my wounds or my experience. What is my soul saying? It will give you a truer answer.
There's the key right there. Trust it. Trust it for wherever you are at that moment when it comes to your consciousness and your development. This is who you are in this moment.
Yep.
Trust it and then continue to cultivate it. And you can probably trust it in bigger things or deeper things or whatever you're evolving.
Yep.
It's beautiful. All right. So if your absence doesn't affect them and they're vice versa, then they probably didn't matter as much as you thought, or you didn't matter as much as you thought. Yeah. Just take stock. That's all it is. All right. And now we've talked about this a lot. So I don't know if we need to flesh it out a lot, but know both sides before you judge. And we were saying earlier, judge isn't necessarily a bad word. Decide maybe can be a better word.
Decide,
determine. Tell me more about that. That's that whole thing we've talked about. How did you come to that place or that decision or that perspective?
A well-placed question opens up a field for possibility. A statement of judgment does not.
And people might perceive, as you have that kind of conversation, that you're judging me. Don't judge me.
Yeah. And because people will never forget. They're not going to remember what you said if the intention behind the question is to judge you. So again, these all tie together. But I find that oftentimes I'll run to a truth because I've only heard one side, only to be found out, wow, there was a bias there.
But if you're
a very unconscious bias on one side of this table, without hearing all the facts.
The key word there too is bias. We all have them.
Yeah.
Recognize them for what they are. That doesn't necessarily make them bad, but just recognize the biases so that you can intelligently begin to evaluate them for what they are, right? And keep some.
Yep.
And let go of some of the others.
And it's, of course, the old Buddhist thing, you were given 2 ears and 1 mouth. There's a reason there's more ears. Listen more.
Let what needs to go and let what needs to come. That's so beautiful. It kind of, hello, all right?
Let it flow, let it flow.
So know both sides before you judge. And we'll wrap up with this one. You can't heal. You can't heal from what you don't let yourself feel. And the person out there is in the same boat. You can't control that, but you can be sensitive to it.
It's love and strength. It's friction. Friction does not mean it has to be tense. It requires strength and courage to lean into friction. That's what this is asking. But bring your love with you. I always say, follow your head, take your heart. Follow your heart, take your head. It's a both and reality. And when it comes to healing things, it's going to be tense before it's better. You have to be okay with that. It's going to be uncomfortable before it is comfortable. It's going to be painful, perhaps, before it's peaceful.
What our buddy always say, right? You got to start to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I love that. So
I love you, Coach.
Yeah, man. Without a doubt, he's got wisdom. No doubt about that. You can't heal. And that's a process. It's a 12-step thing. A lot of times we see it all over the place. But if you don't if you don't acknowledge you got a problem, fill in the blank, then you can't fix it. I mean, it can't heal. All right. So again, it's another one of these honesty things. It's another one of decision things. I mean, you're right. They all go
and feeling is here. The feeling is here. I think that God, epiphanies, revelations, spirit, love, whatever it is, it's got to come through a feeling nature.
Yeah.
The divine feminine, if you will. We have over intellectualized progress in healing, God, spirituality, you've got to have the heart engaged. And that means I have to feel it. I cannot think my way to enlightenment.
There, we're going to wrap up with that wisdom right there. That wasn't one of my bullet points, okay? But I love it. So thanks, Rev, man. You've given
Thank
me
you. Good to be
your
home.
heart energy to help just make all of these remind me. Share some wisdom, share some perspective, I forgot. Yeah,
This is a co-creative environment. We
Yeah,
are
I
reminding
love it.
each other.
You're right. Yeah.
And it's still a circle I want to be part of. I think I still bring value. You bring value. And you make me feel better.
Same here, brother. So welcome back. Glad to have you in front of the mic again. And we'll do it again next week. What do you think?
Good.
All right. Take care.